Hello friends, I'm continuing to analyze the week, political week of Ukraine and around Ukraine, and also today I'll try to make some kind of prediction on the future weeks, maybe future months. At first, in the next week, we'll take the memory date of the 1 year of the war, 24th of February. Will be the date when of this year will be the date when the war started 1 year ago. And of course, for this date, using this date like a platform, like a symbol, all the sides of conflict and of the war will try to prepare some political action and some political movements. And these days, President of Belarus, Lukashenko, came to Moscow. Also, nearest day will come to Moscow the heads of South Ossetia and Abkhazia, unrecognized parts of Georgia, and a lot of Russian observers are talking that Putin with Lukashenko and heads of these unrecognized states are going to announce a new Soviet Union on the base of Union State of Russia and Belarus. Maybe Putin is going to announce deepening the cooperation between these four states, or two states and two non-so states, and starting the symbolic path of reunion of Soviet Union lands. Another version says that the Putin should start a dialogue about the deepening the military cooperation between all these states, or Putin should announce a new way of escalation in the war against Ukraine. In any case, it should be interesting. Ukraine with allies is also preparing for these dates. Ukraine is going to state the questions of reforming of Security Council or of United Nations and withdrawing, kicking off the Russian Federation from Security Council and other international organizations. This question should be stated in the General Assembly of United Nations or in common statement with Ukrainian allies in open platform. Also, Ukraine is going to foster the topic of international tribunal on Russian aggression, and this tribunal should be also voted by the General Assembly in United Nations or be established by the decision of Security Council, but it's less possible because of position of China and Russia inside of it. And also it should be made by like a part of International Criminal Court, or more possible, it should established by the agreement between Ukraine and interested state, like it was in tribunal in Nuremberg, in tribunal of Nazi Germany, when in 1945. I remember the states who won the Second World War made an agreement on such tribunal, and also approved a special statute of this tribunal, which was the legal base for it. Also, we have in this week we had a new meeting in Ramstein base and no dialogue about the equipment for Ukrainian army. This meeting in Ramstein hasn't become an aircraft meeting or rocket meeting, like Ukraine supposed before. But this meeting was also successful and useful for Ukraine because all sides make agreement to develop and to wider supplies to Ukraine, very necessary ammunition and shelters and many other things which Ukrainian army is needed. Of course, Ukraine is wanted to obtain the long-range rockets, long-range rocket system to start the company of liberation of Crimea, but United States and partners are not ready to give Ukraine for nowadays this weapon because they are afraid of possible escalation between West and Russia. The same problem with aircrafts, military aircrafts, which should be used or may be used for the liberation of Crimea. Talking about the situation in front lines and battlefields, it is still extremely hard. Russia is trying to massive but very slow offensive operation in the long line of battlefield, starting from the river Dnieper and in the north of Kharkiv region. In the length of this front line is more than 800 kilometers. Russia is trying to make a small offensive operation and looking for weak places, weak dots in Ukrainian defense. It looks like. At the same time, the bigger part of Russian reserves and Ukrainian also are behind the battlefield. They are still preparing to be used in the great military operation, great offensive or counteroffensive operation. At the same time, the situation near city of Bakhmut and city of Ugledar is extremely hard. There are extremely heavy local clashes, and the Ukrainian army is very successful in defending the Ugledar, and the Russian army lost a lot of troops and a lot of armored vehicles around this city, and obtaining nothing around the city. But talking about the Bakhmut, the situation is more dangerous and more difficult for Ukrainian army. Russia and private military company Wagner is trying to surround this city from the north and from the south, both sides, and only a few roads still free for Ukrainian army to supply the defense of the city. Moreover, this week, Ukrainian government announced that the roads to the city are prohibited to volunteers and civilian persons. Maybe it is a part of preparation of withdrawal from the city. It looks like Ukraine should lose the city in nearest 2 or 3 weeks. And one more situation I want to discuss with you, situation about the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, Mr. Reznikov, who was under the pressure of mass media scandal about the corruption inside of Ministry of Defense, which was in Ukrainian mass media last weeks. It looks like the presidential office saved this ministry on his position because he is very important member of team and he is very close to president. Mr. Reznikov said that president personally asked him to stay in this position and not go out. At the same time, there are big changes inside of this ministry. A lot of deputy heads of ministry, a lot of heads of departments of Ministry of Defense were fired in this situation, and for their place came so-called volunteer group. I feel like it is 2015 year, because in 2015 we had the same situation after the corruption scandals in Ministry of Defense. A big volunteer group came to the ministry and worked then more than a year. There were a lot of scandals, corruption scandals within this group also. group of Mr. Biryukov and Arahami, who nowadays is the head of presidential fraction in parliament of Ukraine. Nowadays we have the same situation. Big volunteering group came to the ministry to cover, to defend the ministry from the critics from outside of Ukraine and inside of Ukraine. We'll see how it works, but it looks that presidential team is not going to punish anybody for this situation, for the situation which our mass media discovered inside of ministry. Hey friends, I think the next weeks, next months will be very important in Ukraine. It is very possible that the new Russian offensive operation will start, but Ukraine is not in time to obtain their all needable armored vehicles from the Western partners to start our own counteroffensive operation. Moreover, it looks like the first year of war, which will be resumed 24th of February, should be a dot, should be a place or line of starting the new way of peaceful negotiation. A lot of international peacemakers nowadays are preparing their plans and preparing their position for starting this negotiation, because all political circumstances is ready for it. It looks like, because all sides of this one, Ukraine and Russia and Western partners, Ukrainian allies, for this first year of war, understood that no total victory should be in the nearest future. This war became an exhausting war, and this exhausting war creates a lot of risk for international economy and political system. So China, Saudi Arabia, and Brazil, Turkey, United Nations, and other sides should prepare and should propose in these days their own plans or their own attempts to peaceful negotiation, and the push on Ukraine and Russia to make a compromise, to make their position softer, will be growing up in these weeks. We'll see in what way, in what path this situation will go on. I will be talking with you about this next weeks. And thank you a lot for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe this channel. Write down your question. I will try to answer for all of it. See you next time.